10-hour Company of Heroes bender last night. Damn, that's a long time. Snoopa did like the same thing. He streamed for like so long. I think he streamed for like 8 to 10 hours yesterday just playing it. All right, so let's just, I mean, there's really not much to talk about, so let's just go right back into it, or let's just get into it. If you have trouble reading or you have any questions, just ask in the chat, and I will answer as usual. So I'm gonna skip some of this stuff. Like they have a nomad mode. Don't really think that's worth talking about. They've updated the mod browser, and I think they also fixed it so that you no longer get the constant updates that re-downloads the mods every time you launch the game. So that's there. We have 3 new maps. None of them, well, Four Lakes and Continental are not exciting maps. Definitely praying to the gods that that does not go into the map pool next season. Marshland, I have no idea what that map is. I did Google it and I didn't find anything, but so I don't have an opinion on that one. But these two, not a fan. To anyone who watches me, I am sure you were really surprised about that. Then they added a mini-map zooming solution, so you can make it so you can go up to looks like 150%. Just so you can zoom in the mini-map so you can see easier. I don't know if I'll use this or not. I might play with it in the pup and see if I like it at 125, 150, or if I'll just keep it at normal. Not sure yet. What's the problem with Four Lakes? I just don't like water maps. I think they're very boring. That's really all I have for it. Oh, you know what I just realized? I think I'm missing. Let me see. I wonder if this will work. No, it won't. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. Well, I was going to do it, but maybe it's, oh, there we go. All right. I forgot to add the chat, so I wanted to add the chat to the side so that people who watch this on YouTube can see something when you guys talk. I'm assuming it's working, but I have no idea. I guess I can do this. There we go. It is. Can you zoom in a little bit? I definitely can. I didn't know how that would be for you guys. Is this good? Let me know if you need me to zoom in more. If not, I'm going to continue. Okay, so then we have the UI updates. So they improved the unit's stats a little bit. From what I understand, you'll be able to see the stats inside buildings and stuff, because movement speed will not be shown on the top level, previously shown in the detailed stats overlay. Additional weapons and their stats are now available in the detailed stats overlay. Duplicate weapons are now combined into one and showing the number of times it repeats for better clarity. This is an example, 70 cannon times 8 as an 8 ranged. They've improved the garrison UI, and I don't really feel like going over this too much. Although I will say this one. Players can now bulk tribute to other players using the tribute menu. So if you hold down the shift key, you can send resources 5 times what the default is, and then if you hold the control key, it goes 10 times. If you're not sure what that is, when you tribute by default, it's 100 per click. With shift, it would be 500, and then with control, it would be 1,000. Here's some known issues. Again, I'm not really going to go over these. If you are curious, I do have the patch notes command in chat and also in the description of this video, so you can look at that. But now we're going to talk about, they have the landmark rework. I actually haven't read this part. So they've taken a hard look at the landmark designs and changed them dramatically. Don't worry, your favorites like the Golden Gate landmark are untouched. We've looked at our data from the least used landmarks as well as many personal accounts from the community to target the underperformers. Our aim for these are to open up additional strategic options for civilizations, create landmarks that have more active and engaging strategies, and make the gameplay between landmarks more unique. And so essentially they buffed the lesser landmarks and left the good ones alone, which is, I think, a good approach. These again are just AI changes. I don't care to go over those. Before we read this, make a prediction. I've already read the patch notes, so I kind of know the changes. So for me, not too much to predict. I could predict something and I'd be right. I do this mainly because a lot of the NA crowd doesn't get to watch the streamers earlier on, so and people will ask me about it anyway, so I can give them a good opinion on what I think of the patch. So we've got some map changes. They changed the name from Mediterranean to Baltic. I guess people were getting confused about the biome and the map. I didn't know that was a thing, but I guess that's fine. Maps are not alphabetically ordered in the map selection screen. I think that's a good change. Biomes are also alphabetically ordered. And then here's some changes on maps in general. Cliffs should not generate at corners and block sacred sites. Hills should not generate near shore, allowing dock placement. This is a nice change. So maybe if you play like Mega Random, the FFAs and stuff, there should no longer be undockable places near the water. At least I would assume. And then carcasses will no longer drop through bridges. I did not know they did at this point. And then it fixed a soft lock that could occur during the loading screen for Black Forest. Okay, don't care about that. Fix a rare instance where one or more settlements would fail to generate. I don't know what they mean by settlements. Do they mean like the market? And then yeah, don't really care about these. Now there is, I'm trying to find the change in here that actually matters. Because a lot of these I just don't feel like talking about because it's just stuff. Trying to get to the exciting stuff, but there's actually, there we go. No, that's not it. I think this is just generalized fixing. It's not what I'm looking for. Okay, so here's what, here's the good, here's some of the good stuff that I like. And neutral market is settlements. Okay, good to know. So fixed a bug where melee units couldn't attack on broken wall segments and would stand idle. I can't remember if I've probably experienced it and just didn't notice or something, or I just, who knows. But this is the big one. Fixed a bug where landmarks could remain standing if destroyed while under construction. For those unaware, and I did know this because one of the, I talked to Maito about this once, and he told me that I didn't know this was a bug at the time, but he told me this was a bug. Is if you're making a landmark and you siege it down and it goes to 0, in the current state of the game, nothing happens. You can just finish that landmark whenever. That was a bug. So now if you siege a landmark and you kill it before it finishes, it is destroyed and is gone. So it's no longer invincible. So if you get barbecue rushed, or for those unaware what that is, for China, it's the Barbican, and you were to somehow get that to 0 health before it finished, it would get destroyed. So it wouldn't just stay there infinitely, it would be gone, the opponent loses the resources, and they are royally screwed. Because that's a very big investment to lose early in the game. And that's just an example. So that's kind of it's a big deal, I think. No, I mean, I shouldn't say it's like insanely big, but I think it's good to know that they did fix this bug. And I think you could potentially see some changes because now, for example, if someone is like a red palace dropping you and you had siege and you took it to 0, they just lost 2,400 food, 1,200 gold for free. Hey, what's up, Peppy? Yep. I figure some people are gonna have seen this twice, but that can't be helped. So yeah, anyway, I like that change. I think it's good. Fixed fishing ships temporarily stopping when they are ordered to regarrison in a dock. I haven't played enough water in this patch to notice that. Influence-based effects such as the ones from Abbasid and Holy Roman Empires can now only be extended with fully constructed buildings rather than building stamps. Okay, actually I didn't see this one earlier. So that's good to know. So you can no longer cheap your way with the HRE emergency repair. I mean, so the Golden League 2 rules no longer need that rule in effect because it should be fixed. Fixed an issue where units sometimes spawn on the wrong side of a unit production building if the rally point was placed too close to the building. Oh, that'll be nice. That should fix the villager bug. Relics will now stay on top of bridges and walls when dropped. Relics respawns on the nearest land after being lost in the ocean or a transport. Change the event cycling behavior to not only focus on attack notifications. And I saw this in chat, so I wasn't ignoring you, Miss Ibs. Or, sorry, la. But elite army tactics, heavy maces, and two-handed weapons, extra damage now properly apply to charge and spear wall weapons. I actually did not know that they did not apply when they charged. Will it be a big deal? It'll be noticeable, I think. I mean, think about it. If you have 10 units charging and they hit a knight, that knight, I don't know. I don't think that would kill it before. Maybe it would. I don't know. Maybe let's go do 5 or something. Whatever. Either way, that extra damage being applied, I think, is a pretty big deal, I think, but I could be wrong. Or same with going against like Siege. So I think it'll be noticeable, but maybe not, and who knows? I didn't know that it didn't do that, so it'll be interesting to see. Maybe now you'll hear me go, why are all of a sudden these men-at-arms killing this so much quicker than before? Again, I think it only affects HRE anyway, so I guess you wouldn't notice it with other units. Idle units will now do a better job of finding good targets to attack. This is especially improved when raiding farms, as units will now continue to hunt farmers instead of torching buildings. This is a great change. It is so annoying when you attack move and your units, instead of engaging the army in front, they decide to attack a tower or a house or a lumber camp instead. So I think this is going to be a good change. Hopefully it works as they say. Unload garrison ability can now be rebound to a different hotkey. Okay, that's fine. After repairing a farm or resource drop-off building, villagers will now automatically gather from the farm or nearby resources. That's just a quality of life fix. When provoked, boar will now seek revenge on their attacker and ignore nearby innocents. I am not a fan of this change personally. I thought it was kind of nice to be able to do that, kind of a fun mechanic to mess with your opponents, and it's something you had to think about when placing a building. Now, if I decide to make a town center on a boar, I no longer have to worry about the scout doing anything to it. So I'm personally not the biggest fan of this change, but I also don't think it's the biggest deal either. It's nothing I'm going to be salty about, but I do think it's unnecessary. Fishing boat gather rates, deep sea fishing reduced from 1 to 0.9. Roost deep fishing reduced from 1.9 to 1.71. And then shore fish increased from 0.66 to 0.7. And then the roost one was increased from 1.19 to 1.26. It was a room tempo Mayo too. That sucks your Twitch got compromised. Hopefully you get that fixed. I mean, I like anything that nerfs water, so I think this is good. I still think if you're on a map with deep sea fish, if you do not go water and your opponent does, I think you are screwed. Like if you played Mediterranean, I don't think this change is going to make you not go water. If you try to skip water, you're just going to lose the game. Shore fishing increase is whatever. Wow, roost fishing OP? Nah, roost fishing isn't overpowered. You got to remember, roost ships cost isn't it twice as much as a normal one? So you're just getting it's the same as a normal fishing ship, except it costs twice. So it makes sense that it has double the fishing gather rate. But yeah, shoreline fishing will be better with the patch. And their reasoning is we wanted to lessen the impact of deep sea fishing and open up additional strategic opportunities on maps with water. Increasing shorefish gather rates is aimed at making these resources more effective in general for boats, as well as creating options around defensive tech-based styles. And then here's another change, palisade walls. Cost increased from 5 to 7 wood. Health reduced from 1500 to 1250. Roost's improved walls reduced to 2500. Their build time is reduced from 7 to 3 seconds. And then stone walls reduced from 3500 to 3000. And then there's the walls are extremely cost effective at shutting down aggression. We adjust them to make sure they fill the intended role of being speed bumps that give you time to reposition and react to an enemy attacks. Obviously, anyone who watches this is not going to be surprised by this. I love it. Any nerf to walls, I am down with. I still think stone walls are going to be good, but there is another change that with rams that I think that we'll go over later that I think will make attacking stone walls a lot easier and breaking in, but we'll go over that once we get to the ram change. For people who are wondering, technically you could say this is a buff, but this is just a reversion. Roost walls used to be built in 3 seconds, then they nerfed it to 7 in the last big update. So this is kind of just reverting it back to 3 seconds, and then they're just nerfing the health a bit, which again I 100% agree with. I love these changes, and if they nerfed them further, I would be happy to. And here's another good change. Monks now only heal at 50% speed when their target is in combat. I love it. Finally, I think this needed to be done a long time ago. This makes it so that mass scholars aren't as strong in combat as they are right now. Because right now, if you have Scholars and Archer versus Archer, your opponent is just really screwed because Scholars heal so quick. It takes so many Archer shots that you have to focus the Scholars and then you just lose the battle anyway. So I think this is a great change. I'm sure some people will be sad. This is a big nerf to Delhi, but I do think this was necessary. Does that apply to AoE healing from Ottoman imams? Yes. It sounds to me like all healing with monks is gonna be 50% what it is in combat than compared to out of combat. So out of combat, they'll still heal at their normal rate. In combat, they don't. But maybe the area of effect healing for the Ottoman monks, I don't think is very big anyway, so I don't think that matters. Even if they don't do the area of effect healing. But maybe I'm wrong. Villager formation catch-up speed reduced from 100% to 40% to match all of the units in the game. This will effectively make raiding groups of retreating villagers easier. I like this change. I think sometimes, and it's annoying how fast villagers are when they run, so I am hoping this is noticeable. And if you catch 20 villagers in the field unprotected with knights or horsemen, you actually can kill kill more than you would before. Because currently they just are so fast, you barely get a couple kills and they're just already at their town center or something. So I like this change. They did some stat card improvements. All units now display movement speed in main panel. You can see the stats of all weapons equipped instead of just a currently wielded weapon. And then weapons of the same type are merged instead of showing duplicate entries. Okay. Fix an issue with the secondary UI panel isn't accessible when selecting a group of mixed unit types. I'm guessing that's like if you select a villager and monk, maybe? If so, that'd be kind of a nice change. The villager's build menu now correctly resets when clearing the selection. Fixed a bug where the UI would incorrectly tell you to repair an enemy's landmark. I had no idea there was a UI bug with that. Fixed cattle not dying when the cheat code is used. Fixed villagers restarting the build animation after reissuing the same build command. Okay, yep, I know what that's talking about. If you're not sure, when you're building a landmark or something, just select the villagers, right-click the landmark. You'll see exactly what it's talking about. And then fix the villagers looking like they are gliding if spammed with attack orders to hunt a wolf. I feel like they fix these gliding issues every patch, but maybe I'm wrong. And then fix a rare case where defensive structures would stop firing at visible targets within range. Sweet. Okay, so now let's go to the siege updates. This isn't really, well, we'll just go over it. So they field instructed siege units no longer get stuck in berry bushes. I didn't know they did, and as it was. The bombard wood was reduced from 400 to 300. The great bombard was 600 wood to 450. The cannon 400 to 300, and then the Rebottle 400 to 300. That's all wood cost only. I am okay with these changes. I'm glad they kept the gold cost where it was. Reducing the wood cost for what it is, I think is fine. Siege is pretty easy to kill, and I think it's okay to reduce the wood a bit. I know that's probably surprising coming from me, but as of right now, I don't have a problem with this, but maybe we'll see. Battering rams. Siege workshops can now produce battering rams for all civilizations. I love it. That's a great change. New technology, lightweight beams, Imperial Age. This increases battering ram attack speed by 40% and reduces their field construction time by 50%. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier with the stone walls, is with this change plus the Stonewall health nerf, in theory, you should be able to break through stone walls a lot quicker, and this is going to be a great way to do it. And since you can just place a a siege workshop by stone walls, and instead of producing bombards and wasting a lot of gold, leaving it undefended by itself, you just make a ram or two and just let it go, and then you can send your cavalry in. I think with this plus the stonewall change is really, really good for the game. Well, stonewalls need further nerfs. Who knows? We'll see, probably, but that's also me just hating stone walls, so I wouldn't take too much effort on my opinion there. And then fix a bug where siege units could get stuck in their unpacking animation if their target was too close. Where is the siege tower fix? You know, I don't think they talked about the siege tower in this, so I wonder if they didn't add it, or if they just forgot to add it. What's up, Dinky? I agree. Send the stone walls to the Shadow Realm. 100% in agreement there. Okay, but now let's get to the more fun stuff. So those were just the generic changes. Let's talk about civilization changes. First being the Abbasid Dynasty. So Abbasid, let's just go with it. They pretty much changed a lot of their things. I'm not going to read this part. It just talks about how they changed the trade wing, culture wing, trade economic wings. The House of Wisdom landmark. This building is now a home market destination that can be traded with. So now you start with a market, I guess. Well, no, it can be traded with. Does that mean you can? I imagine that means you can't trade resources with it as the Abbasid player. Trade wing spawns 3 traders once construction is complete. Military wing spawns units based on the age you complete this wing. So in the feudal age, 1 archer and 2 spearmen, 2 camel riders in castle, 3 hand cannoneers in imperial. Camel rider shields move to the stable. Composite bows move to this wing in the castle age. Cost reduced from 700 gold, 300 wood to 350 gold, 150 wood. Now tell me if I'm mistaken on this, but isn't composite bows the one that gives a 20% attack speed buff to archers? Is that correct, or am I wrong on that? If that is correct, this is a huge buff. I mean, even without this, it's still a huge buff to the military wing in general. And I am correct on that? Okay. So archers will be even stronger for Abbasid coming into the castle age if you go for the military wing, which is what I've actually been doing as Abbasid anyway. I also see a lot of potential for this as well, and you'll see why in a moment, because you're probably thinking, well, what about fresh foodstuffs? No longer requires any of these, but we'll go over that in a second. So I definitely could see like doing the feudal wing, and you get 2 spearmen immediately. Like this right there will stop the first knight from French, for example, from raiding you. Right? If you put it on your stone, they cannot delay your stone. If you were to do this into the feudal age, although like you're probably not going to because of we're going to find out here in a second. Okay. Added fertile crescent technology, costs 25 food, 75 gold, reduces wood and stone costs of economic buildings and houses by 25%. The fresh foodstuffs is to the town center, so you can get fresh foodstuffs at the feudal age no matter what wing you choose. And then fresh foodstuffs did get a nerf where the bonus was reduced from 50% to 35%. Which the funny thing is, I think a lot of players called this happening a year ago. We knew at some point fresh foodstuffs was going to get nerfed, or at least we assumed. And funnily enough, I remember when people talked about it back then was to 35%. So this is really, really big right here, actually. And I think the economic wing is probably still going to be the main go-to for feudal age, because town centers will now cost, I think it's CKBD said it, but 300 wood, and I think it's 262 stone. It might be 275. It's something in that range. But you're saving 100 wood, and you're going to be saving over almost 100 stone, if I'm not mistaken on this. This also includes farms, which I believe are going to cost 56 or 58 wood per farm. Houses are now going to cost whatever 25% of 50 is, which I'm not doing math on the stream. This is it. I mean, this improves Abbasid's feudal age so much. Like, you'll be able to get a second TC down. I mean, if you think about it, I wouldn't be surprised if you could get one down by like 430 or maybe even sooner. Let's just say this is a huge buff to Abbasid. And I don't think this fresh foodstuffs nerf is that big of a deal compared to the buffs they got. And 3 TCs will be even more common for sure. Is military wing just a one-time spawn? Correct. It is a one-time spawn going by this, because it does say spawns units based on the age you complete this wing. So I wonder what the fertile crescent tech research time is. If I had to guess, it's probably 30 seconds like everything else. So I guess with that, you probably couldn't get one before 4:45 because I forgot about the research time. You're right there, Dinky. Good call. Or good eyesight. And then there's the culturing. Preservation of knowledge bonus reduced from 30 to 20%, and it reduces, the reduction now applies to age up costs. So someone did the math, and this might be wrong, but instead of spending 2,400 food and 1,200 gold, it's now 1,800 food and 900 gold. Pretty much, if you think about it, it's almost like an HRE Imperial cost now. So you spend that resource age up to imp, and you get a whopping camels. You get 3 hand cannons if you go military wing and Imperial age. Is Swabi's discount 20%? I think it's a little more. I think it's 25%, but I could be mistaken. But it's very close. And obviously I am talking about the if you go Swabia for Imperial and not the Elsbach Palace for Achery. But my point still stands. And then the research time reduced from 60 to 30 seconds, even though that was already a thing. Fixed a bug where Golden Age wasn't reducing research times properly. Okay, didn't know that was a bug. And then House of Wisdom now displays additional build menus in caster mode. And then the Faith technology, Faith renamed to, I'm not going to say that word because I don't feel like butchering it. Monk Convert ability that unlocks it has been renamed to that as well. So, looking at these buffs for Abbasid, I think Abbasid right now is a good civilization. They have some bad matchups, but I think overall they're still pretty solid. I think with this patch, I really think that Abbasid is probably going to be S tier potentially. I could see them being like top 2, maybe even better. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really think Abbasid is probably going to be back to being a top tier civilization, and I would not be surprised to see it being banned a lot in tournaments. Because this, I mean, these changes overall, Abbasid was strong as it, or was pretty strong as it was. Not like top tier, but they definitely weren't bottom tier. And now they're like, their only nerf was to the fresh foodstuffs, which really isn't that big of a nerf, in my opinion. And yeah, so I'm expecting to see Abbasid as a very top tier civ next patch, and I expect to see them banned in tournaments. Abba seems like your early boom will be sick. However, once they need to come out on the map, it's going to still be tough. I don't think so, but maybe it is, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're not going to be, and I'm just from a brief thing. I really think Abs is going to be top tier civ, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. There are a lot of other changes in this game that we're going to be going over, obviously. China didn't really get buffed. They got their astronomical clock tower landmark now produces clock tower battering rams with bonus health. And then fixed a bug where granaries wouldn't generate taxes when technologies were researched. And then Nest of V's will now finish its current volley if its target dies or moves out of range. Previously, it would stop firing immediately in those cases. So, just semi-buffs to China, but nothing like too big. My right nose is really bothering me for some reason. Rus still hard counter to Abba? I don't think Rus has been a hard counter to Abba since the patch, the big patch. Right now, I would still place China as number 1 or number 2 civilization in the game in the current state of Age of Empires 4. But I don't think most people can really use China that well. I'm one of them. And so I'm not surprised at the no nerfs, but we'll see how they are. Like I said, I would not be surprised if Abbasid overtakes China next patch. All right, now we go to Delhi Sultanate. Compound of the Defender landmark contains the following defensive technologies that ignore age requirements. Village Fortress. Research time reduced from 5 minutes to 3 minutes and 45 seconds. You can get boiling oil, court architects, and slow burning defenses. So the Village Fortress, for those unaware, is the making villagers from your keeps. Boiling oil obviously is boiling oil, and I believe court architects, doesn't that increase the strength or the health of like keeps and stuff? I could be wrong on that. Someone could correct me, but either way, this is really good, especially this right here. The fact that you can start researching this the second you hit castle means that once you start pumping out them keeps, you start making them villagers, and it's the HP of buildings. Okay, that's what I thought. So yeah, this is big buff to Abbasid. Like Abbasid's Castle Age in general, I think got stronger with this, and they already have a pretty strong Castle Age. A House of Learning landmark, reinforced foundations technology allows villagers and infantry to garrison in houses and fire garrison arrows. Houses gain plus 50% HP. So, I do expect to see some cheeky plays with this. I would not be surprised to see someone doing, like, getting to Castle Age and starts building houses like by their opponent's stuff and just garrisoning in them. How much damage is that going to do? Is it really going to be strong? I'm not sure. I could see it being very, very annoying potentially. I can't, because I mean houses burn pretty quickly as it is, so this might not be like a, I don't think it's going to be overpowered or anything, but this could potentially be super annoying. But we'll see how this is. But as the jokes go, house rushing will now be a thing. Tranquil venue technology healing per second increased from 1 to 2. I have no idea what this is. Lookout towers technology now adds +1 weapon range to outposts. Hardy rations technology moved from Imperial to Castle Age. Again, I don't know what that one is either. So I don't know what half these things are. That's how little I know about the House of Learning landmark. The Hisar Academy acts as a madrasa and food generation increased by 20%. Tranquil is the mosque healing. Wait, mosques can heal? I didn't even know that. All right. Learn something new every day. Palace of the Sultan landmark now trains the new elephant, Elite Tower Elephant, a mounted elephant with 2 hand cannoneer riders. For some reason, I saw people meme about this a lot before, like a long time ago, being like, there should be an upgrade to go from crossbowmen to hand cannoneer elephants. Well, your wish has been granted. And then while activated, it'll train an elephant every 200 seconds. If it's garrisoned with 4 monks, it'll be 90 seconds. And yes, JD, that's correct. Garrison houses, like normal houses. The war elephant got a big change. The cost is reduced from 600 food, 400 gold to 400 food, 350 gold. HP reduced from 1400 to 850. Armor increased from 4.2 to 4.5. I believe this is ranged melee, or is it opposite it? No. Melee range. So 5 range, 4 melee. Tusk damage increased from 30 to 50. Spear damage increased from 20 to 25. And then Tusk siege damage gains plus 100 versus buildings. Tower Elephant, Tusk siege damage gains plus 50 versus buildings. So the Tower Elephant didn't get changed at all. The War Elephant, on the other hand, I definitely think you're going to be seeing more of this unit. I mean, it got a buff to everywhere. The only nerf it got was health, but it got its armor buffed a lot with that health nerf, which I think is, I think it's better to have a lot of armor than health. Just because you can have 1400 health, but if you have no armor, then units are doing full damage. Whereas if you have a lot of armor, you're not taking that much damage. So I'll be very curious. With the monk healing nerf, I don't think it's going to be it'll definitely be killable. At least I would assume. It'll be interesting to see it, but I think you will have to have spears because the ranged armor is going to be pretty insane with this unit because in Castle Age, it'll have 7 ranged armor. So I think an archer does 9 damage. So an archer will do 2 damage per shot, unless I'm mistaken. And crossbowman will do 5 damage, something like that. Armored Beast technology now grants war elephants plus 25 plus 25% HP and plus 4 ranged armor. So as someone said in chat, that's 12 ranged armor in Imperial Age. Siege elephants, technology renamed to Howdas. In addition to equipping tower elephants with crossbows, grants plus 30% HP and plus 4 ranged armor. So that's just a buff to tower. So this is the buff to tower elephants pretty much without changing their cost. That's only 425 archer shots. Yeah, that's only 425 archer shots. That's not much at all. So elephants got huge buffs. You're definitely going to see elephants in play again, I think. And fixed an issue where fishing ships would not benefit from range damage blacksmith upgrades. Fixed lookout tower technology not affecting outposts built after researching the technology. Zeal technology now adds a gold glow to affected units. Buff effect no longer stacks. Fixed a bug where buff was giving much less attack speed than intended. And scholars, which are garrisoned in a mosque, will now have their automatic healing ability toggled on when leaving the hold. If you didn't know, your first monk that you get created out of the mosque, that is auto-created when you make it, had healing turned off. So Imperial Age, Delhi might be a thing now. I think Death Ball elephants are definitely going to be a thing. I'm already going to tell you, I really am looking forward to the rage on my stream when I die to this one of these days, because I know I'm going to. I'm literally going to get facing a death ball of elephants, and I'm going to die, and I'm going to rage. Is probably what'll, maybe not the first time, but I'm sure if I lose to this enough times, that's what'll happen. So we'll see how that goes. I think this will definitely be you'll definitely see more Delhi players, I assume, and I also think Delhi is going to be a lot stronger in both the Castle Age and Imperial Age. Now for the next civilization that I'm sure you've all been wanting to hear about, English. Chance. English. So, the Abbey of Kings landmark can now crown a king, a cavalry leader with a lesser version of the Abbey's aura. It costs 150 food and 150 gold. Only one king may be trained at a time, and it heals nearby out of combat units 2 HP every second. Um, I'm not really going to read the developer note on that. I will. Previously, while it was possible to get a lot of resources value out of the Abbey of Kings, it was often cumbersome in later stages of the game. Now this option to mobilize the Abbey in the form of a king gives players the ability to engage with aggressive strategies while still getting value out of the Abbey. This is a buff. This is a good change to this landmark, I think, and I think we will see more Abbey of Kings. I think it will no longer be the Abbey of Memes. I don't think you will make this in an English mirror matchup, though. I still think if you were to do this in an English mirror matchup, you're just going to die to a longbow spear all-in. But in general, I do think this landmark has a lot more flexibility and a lot more viability than it currently does. That being said, let's go over the Council Hall. Changed from producing longbowmen and their technologies to all archery range units and technologies. While the Council Hall is useful in the Feudal Age, its utility later in the game is limited. The option to quickly produce crossbowmen should open the door into more strategies with English in the Castle and Imperial Age, and then fixed an issue where Council Hall lockeys did not respect archery range key bindings. This is a big change as well. Now, certain timing attacks you could do against greedy English players aren't going to be anywhere near as strong, because now you can produce crossbowmen out of the landmark, which I would assume is going to be like producing 2 crossbowmen from 2 different archery ranges, because it's at 100% production speed. So you're going to be able to pump out crossbows really quickly and take care of any knights or men-at-arms that try to get rushed into your base. You don't have to invest 150 wood to get an archery range. You don't have to invest 300 wood for 2 archery ranges. This now lets you make crossbows the second you hit Castle Age, and they will be coming out quick. This is a huge change as well, a big buff to the landmark, and yeah, definitely going to see... this landmark is still going to be insanely good and probably picked a lot. I still think this landmark is probably going to be picked more than the Abbey of Kings, but I do think depending on the matchup, the Abbey of Kings will be a viable landmark as well. And I'm sure there'll be some players that always go Abbey of Kings. The King's Palace landmark, HP increased from 2,500 to 5,000, and then fixed an issue where the English King's Palace does not respect player keybinds for town center correctly. Sorry, spaced out with chat. It says in the dev mode. Yeah, I mean, it kind of says it, but yeah. So this was a needed change. I always thought it was ridiculous that the King's Palace, a castle landmark that cost 1,200 food, 600 gold, only had 2,500 health. So I think this is a good change. This needed to be done. And then the White Tower landmark now trains units, researches technologies, and builds emplacements 100% faster. The White Tower you kind of see nowadays anyway, but now it's like the landmark has a lot more viability to it, because now, so think about this. If you're going, let's say you open up 2 TCs and go White Tower, and you go Council Hall, you now have a Council Hall that can spam crossbowmen and a White Tower landmark that can spam crossbowmen. That's equivalent to 4 archery ranges the second you hit Castle Age. This also works for knights as well. So you can start making knights as if you had 2 stables the moment you hit Castle Age. Obviously, I can't remember what the technologies are in the White Tower off the top of my head, but I know it has some, and then emplacements and stuff. So that landmark, I think you'll see a lot more use out of now, rather than just defensively. Like you'll see someone go 2 TCs, or if you're divine, you go 3 TCs, go White Tower, and then you can just spam knights out of that thing. Yeah, Network of Citadels. I did know it had that. I just can't remember the name. So in general, it's just a big buff to this. Essentially, Castle Age English, the weak parts of it are getting buffed immensely. And now for the Berkshire Palace landmark, the HP was increased from 5,000 to 6,500. Effect changed from projectiles having plus 50% range and double the amount of base arrows to all projectiles now have 15 tile range, which I believe I saw someone say that's longer than a Mongol trebuchet. Don't think that was thought through enough because that means Mongols theoretically have no way to attack the Berkshire Palace without taking damage from it. Arrows from the Berkshire are now incendiary and deal increased damage. The base damage was increased from 10 to 12, and standard arrow was increased from 12 to 14. But then again, it doesn't do the double amount of base arrows, so maybe it doesn't matter, but we'll see how that does. Developer note, we want to create a more compelling choice between the Windguard and the Berkshire Palace. This change makes the Berkshire Palace more effective at locking down a position and more dangerous to fight underneath for the opponent. And Royal, the arrows do add up. If it's still firing as quickly as it does now, the Berkshire 100% can kill trebuchets, Mongol trebuchets, because it does a decent amount of damage pretty quickly. At least it does now. I'm not sure how these changes will affect it or not. It may not matter, but my point still stands that as of right now, nothing Mongols can do can attack this landmark without taking damage. Was really my main point. Unless we'll go over that later. All right, and then there's the Windguard Palace landmark, which did get some changes. The Windguard army no longer trains 1 spearman, men-at-arms, knight, and longbowman, and 1 trebuchet. It now trains 2 spearmen, 2 crossbowmen, and 1 trebuchet. The cost is the same, so no change, and the time is also the same. The Windguard Raiders still trains 3 horsemen and 3 knights, but the train time is reduced from 200 food, 100 gold, and 75 seconds to 650 food, 200 gold, and 20 seconds. Does it have 15 vision for 15? I'm not sure. That's a good question, Royal. So pretty much what you could do now is you could spam horsemen and knights really, really fast, because that means you're making 18 or okay, let's do it. 9 horsemen and 9 knights in a minute is what you can make with the Windguard Palace now. I definitely think this will see some use. And late game English has insane food income and gold income, so I think this is you're going to see a lot more use out of this one, I'm pretty sure. The Windguard Rangers no longer trains 3 crossbowmen and 3 hand cannoneers. It now trains 6 Windguard Rangers. And then the cost was changed to 250 gold, 450 wood, and 60 seconds. I heard someone say that these are pretty much going to be like stronger longbowmen. I have no idea what they are, but they are a new unit. Take that as you will. I don't know anything else about that unit otherwise. And then the Windguard Footman is the same way. 6 Windguard Footman for 200 food, 500 gold, and takes 60 seconds to train. I also heard that these were just stronger men-at-arms. Again, I don't know what that means. But that's what I've heard from other streamers. And then previously, the discounted trebuchet overshadowed the other options of the landmark. Now each army presents a different opportunity for the English player. The Rangers and Footmen are powerful new units for the late game. I don't know how viable these two will be. I think you'll 100% see this used, and obviously this one will still be used. These two we'll see. I guess it just really depends on how strong those longbowmen are. But I'm pretty sure this will probably be a main focus, but I do think this will also be used. Enclosures. Now, enclosures gold generation time increased from every 3.5 seconds to 5 seconds. So someone did the math and someone said that currently each farm generates 17.5 gold per minute. With this change, it's 12 gold per minute. It's a 30% nerf. And if we open up our handy dandy calculator, that means currently, if you have 60 farms, which is very common for English in the late game, currently you get 1,050 gold per minute. With this change, it's now going to be 720 gold per minute. So it is a nerf, and it is a pretty good nerf, right? That's 300 gold less. That's still I still think it's really strong, so I don't think enclosures is bad by any means. I think it's still going to be very strong. In general, I think English right now I would put as a top 3 civ probably. I know they have a low win rate by the stats, but I don't really think they are that bad as the stats show. with these changes, I think English is going to be up there with Abbasid because English had openings, like they had a week early Castle Age especially, um, and with a lot of the changes done, English's weaknesses in Castle Age and stuff are pretty much gone. So I think English is now stronger than it was before, and I think the enclosure nerf, while it is a good change because it desperately needed to nerf, I think English is stronger now, is going to be stronger now than it was, or stronger in the new patch than it is now. But it's beatable in Imp, right? Uh, I'm not sure. 720, like, so you got to think about it. They're still going to get 720 passive gold per minute, with 60 farmers. And what is that if we do 80, which again is not uncommon in late game? English might be forced to make traders in the late game now, but I still think they're going to be more beatable in Imperial with the next patch than they are now. I will say that. But will they still have the strongest late game coming into the next patch? I think there's a chance they still have the strongest late game, but could be wrong on that. I definitely don't think their late game is going to be weak at all. And then they fixed the text bug to report the correct attack values from 25% to 20%. The network Citadel bonus corrected from 50% to 40%. The values from 20% to 15% and 40 to 30%. So they say it's a nerf here, but I heard Don already say that this has already been in effect for a while now. So there may not be a change to this actually, but if there is, the Citadel Network of Castles bonus was nerfed to 15% and 30%. Network of Castles to 15 and Network of Citadels to 30. So it's still really good regardless, but if it hasn't gone through, or if this change has already been implemented, we won't notice it. If it hasn't been implemented, then we'll notice it, I assume. It's still really good. I definitely don't think that's going to weaken English at all, really. And then fix a bug where English farm influence lingered after nearby mills were destroyed. All right. Now to French. These are short changes, but one of them is really insane. The Chamber of Commerce landmark no longer provides additional resources to traders, automatically trains one free trader for each economic technology researched. Do I think this is going to make the Chamber of Commerce more viable in 1v1s? Depending on the map, yeah. But do I think people are going to do it? No. I still think you're going to go to the, I don't even know what the stable landmark is called off the top of my head, but I think that landmark is still going to be the default for French. But this is a buff to where you can get trading a little bit quicker without investing anything other than the landmark. The College of Artillery, the Royal Artillery bonus damage increase from 20 to 30%, can research gunpowder and siege technologies, chemistry, siege works, greaseold axles, works 50% faster, and unlocks the artillery shot ability on all cannons, loads the cannon for an artillery shot, where the next shot has greatly increased area of effect damage but does no bonus against buildings. I wonder if the chamber pops traders out if you already got the upgrades in Burrow and Dark. It doesn't sound like it does, but I'm definitely going to test that in the pup on Tuesday. Assuming someone else, someone else will probably do that first, and I might not, but yeah. So this just gives area of effect. Obviously, we have no further information. How big is the area of effect? Is it a lot? Is it as good as the Great Bombard? Is it worse? I assume it's going to be worse. How much worse? Not sure how I think about this yet. And then the Red Palace landmark now activates an arbalist weapon on all keeps and town centers. So for anyone who's seen the Red Palace landmark, you know how quickly that thing destroys units. Someone told me that the Red Palace has 3 arbalists emplacements, so town centers and keeps only get 1, but it does 60 damage per shot, I believe is what someone told me earlier. I don't know if that's accurate or not. So, and it shoots like a machine gun. So this could potentially be I'm not sure I like this change at all. And the reason why I don't think I like it, or I know I don't like it, if it works like a Red Palace where it's shooting like a machine gun, that's going to make French almost unrateable in the Imperial Age, because if you go to a red palace with knights, those knights die so fast. It's not even funny. Imagine horsemen; they're going to melt even faster. And if all town centers have this by default and keeps, then you can't raid them. Your raids will die before they even do any damage. I mean, that's not true, but yeah. So I'm definitely going to 100% test this on Tuesday because I want to see exactly how it works. If it's really as strong as it sounds, then French is unraidable in Imperial Age. And it makes it easier for them to secure uh, the map in general. To give you guys perspective as well, for the Red Palace, if you put 3 bombards to attack the Red Palace is going to kill all 3 bombards. I actually shouldn't say that because I don't know for sure. But it kills bombards in like 2 shots, I think. Now, it won't kill it as fast with normal keeps in town centers because it's only 1, but it will kill a bombard pretty quickly, I think, regardless. So I don't like this change if it works as it sounds. Now, maybe it doesn't work that way and it's really not that strong. We'll find out on Tuesday when we test it. But from what I gather, that's what it does. And French Imperial Age just got an insane buff if that's the case. Now to the Holy Roman Empire. The civilization with probably the best landmarks in the game. I think most people would agree with that. And yeah, I once garrisoned a red palace at Tertium and landmark wiped an Age 4 Abba House of Wisdom and TC in like 25 seconds. Yeah, it destroys landmarks really quick. Like the red palace is insane if it can get to a spot where it can do damage like that. It also destroys other keeps really quickly as well. So HRE, the Minework Palace landmark, now holds 2 technologies unique to the landmark. Riveted chainmail, spearmen, and horsemen get +2 melee armor. Costs 75 food, 150 gold. The riveted chainmail is removed from the barracks. I saw on BC stream that this is the spearman, so the spearman unique upgrade is no longer there. And instead of +3, it's +2. But instead of only affecting spearmen, it now affects horsemen. I think that's a huge change, and I think horsemen are obviously going to be stronger for HRE now. Steel boarding. Knights gain +2 armor, but it costs 200 food, 500 gold. This means knights are going to have, someone said they're going to have as much armor as a sofa now. I am very curious how Castle Age knights from HRE versus Castle Age knights from French are now. I wonder if HRE knights are comparable because they have a lot more armor. They're going to have more armor than the French knights, even though the French knights will have more HP. I'm probably going to want to test that on Tuesday because I'm going to be curious on how strong that is. But either way, it's as an emphasis, this is +2 armor, so it's ranged and melee, not just melee. So knights in general are a lot stronger for HRE than they are. They're going to have like the second strongest knights in the game probably. Because I assume French knights are still better, but not sure without testing it. And then they're going to have the strongest horsemen in the game for sure, because +2 melee is a pretty big deal. And then fix an issue where Regnus Cathedral does not correctly follow hockey rebinds. Fix an issue where emplacement discounts bonus did not apply to naval arrow slits, and fix a bug where prelate inspired cooldown could be skipped. And then Bruce Knights. Yeah, I think HRE Knights are going to be better than Bruce Knights 100%. +20 health is nice, but I think the +2 armor is better. I could be wrong though. Again, we'll test it on Bruce as well. I'll grab a couple viewers, we'll test and see what wins. But I'm pretty sure HRE is going to have the second best knights in the game after this. But again, I may be wrong. +2 armor just sounds like a really strong upgrade and much better than 20 health. In general, HRE doesn't really need many changes. All their landmarks are good as it is. I guess you could argue that Elsbach Palace isn't really used very much, but I still think it's a fine landmark. So we'll see how this is. I'm very curious how strong this actually is compared to French and Rus Knights. Now let's go to Malians. The Mansa Quarry landmark no longer displays as a resource production unit. Farimba Garrison landmark and Fort of the Huntress landmark footprint decrease from 5.5x5 to 4x5, so that it matches the size of all other landmarks in the game. Fixed an issue where javelin throwers and archers that are upgraded while in queue at Farimba Garrison could take up more population than intended. That's interesting. Also, I did. That's actually a great point, Miss Sibs. On the HRE armor, that doesn't include inspired warriors as well. So inspired warriors plus knights is probably better than French knights for sure. I would assume. Um, I'll have to test both those. I'm actually really interested to test that. Anyway, Fort of the Huntress landmark fixed an issue with the Fort of the Huntress preferred rams as targets over other units. The Groit Bear landmark corrected tooltip on amount of bonus displayed on the Siege Festival from 100% to 50%. Technology tree now mentioned that Malian villagers have a specific bonus to cattle. Adds a missing bonus for cheaper veteran technologies to the tech tree. Added a missing bonus that describes Malian's ability to reduce research times of future technologies based on successful trades from traders. If you didn't know, this may not be listed on it, but if you trade as Malians, you can research almost any trade and almost anything in the game in seconds. I'm talking Imperial Age, even the university. You can if you're trading successfully, you can research everything in like seconds, and I'm talking like 2 to 5 seconds, not 30 seconds. Pretty big. Malian wonder footprint and structure size increased from 5x5 to 6x5, so it matches the size of all other wonders in the game. House's health increased from 4 to 500. I don't think these needed a buff. I don't know why they buffed this. Not that it's a big deal or anything, but I think they were fine as they are. But they did get buffed on the houses. Their local knowledge technology moved from Imperial Age to Castle Age. Cost reduced from 200 food, 500 gold to 100 food, 250 gold. Research reduced to 60 seconds. I don't even know what this technology is. Hey, what's up, puppy? I do plan on doing an FFA, yeah. I was going to do it after some 1v1s, but if people want me to do that first, I could. Manuscript trade technology no longer affects the naval arrow slits, now applies to the boiling oil technology. Deer are no longer startled by stealth units or units in stealth. I think that's a good change. Enemy buildings in Gaia no longer reveal units in stealth. Fixed a visual issue with cattle garrisoned in a ranch, and then fixed an issue where the pit mine could be built on top of a structure built over a depleted gold deposit. Well, I'm gonna go through all the patch notes, Dinky. I'm not done. Well, I mean, we're about to be. There's not that much more left, I don't think. Local knowledge gave them a move speed boost. Oh, okay. So, but now with Beastie? Oh, yeah. If Beastie wants to do it here. I only need a few more minutes. If you can wait a few minutes, I'm down. But if they have players already, then I guess they can start without me because I'm going to finish this. I have like whatever 3 more things left. All right, so Mongols. Fixed an issue where the Mongol Silver Tree landmark does not correctly follow hotkey rebinds for market. The Kurultai landmark, we need you. Well, you guys will have to, if they can wait 5 minutes, I'm in. But you're going to have to wait probably 5 minutes. The Kurultai landmark no longer requires the con nearby to apply damage buff. Damage buff properly applies to bonus damage. The aura radius increased from 7.5 to 10 tiles. The Cognate Palace landmark. This is going to be a fun change. Automatically rallies a random army from across the Mongol Empire and its dominions. You can get 3 elite Rus Knights. You can get 2 warrior monks. You can get 5 elite horse archers, 1 nest of bee, 5 elite palace guards, 4 elite Mangadai, or 1 I don't know how to say this, gigantic trebuchet. Which is greatly increased range and damage. I've actually seen this before. It is really strong. Not in ranked or anything, but yeah. Train times are scaled based on the unit, but in general spawns much faster than the previous 90 seconds. I think it's funny that they decided that now Mongols can get units from almost every civilization in the game. I mean, horse archers, warrior monks, Rus Knights. I'll definitely probably play with this a little bit because it sounds kind of fun. And also, if you get this landmark, the big trebuchet, that's a pog, I guess you could say. So that's a. Do I think it's going to be better than the step read? Not is it? Wait, what is it? What's the other one called? Is it the step readout? No, that's the gold one, isn't it? Whatever it is, the generation stone one. I still think that one's probably going to be better, but I still think it'll be fun to play with this a little bit as well. That's just Rus in China. You're right, but don't call me out on that, Miss Ibs. It's just the white stupa. Okay, the white stupa. That's right. Oh, it says that right here. The White Stupa now contains Uvu technologies. You know, I, I wear glasses for a reason, folks. Okay, Mongol buildings now show additional build menus in caster mode. Fixed a bug where improved textile upgrade hockey binding wasn't functioning. Uvu influence range now shows correctly during selection stage on larger stone deposits. Using the select all military no longer selects packed Mongol prayer tents. Signal arrow changes. The con signal arrow increased from 25 to 35. Whistling arrow cost reduced from 100 food 250 gold to 50 food 125 gold. I don't remember what these upgrades are, by the way. And then whistling arrows improved cost reduced from 350 to 175. Is that the one where it gives the extra range to the con and stuff? I mean, I don't think it needed the buff, but there it is. Activating the con's Scouting Falcon ability no longer cancels the con's current commands. Didn't know it did. Fixed a bug where early horsemen had less charge damage than their base weapon. Okay, didn't know that was a thing. Fixed a bug where Dark Age Spearmen had 12 torch damage instead of the intended 10. Oopsie. Okay, didn't know that was a thing either. Oh, the arrow duration upgrade. That makes sense. That's actually a pretty big bug, by the way. That extra +2 torch damage, that adds up. That's actually a pretty big change, I think. I mean, not really, because it's not used that often, but yeah. Ottomans fixed the twin landmark, sometimes trapping units in the generated berry bushes. The Mehmed Imperial Armory landmark can now be toggled to produce battering rams. You'll never use it for that. Instable Imperial, unless it's really quick, maybe then. What's up, Core? Instable Imperial Palace landmark fixed an issue where it was possible for the landmark to repeatedly stack its bonus effect when killed and repaired. Okay, didn't know that. Seagate Castle landmark fixed an issue where traders could not garrison within the landmark. Didn't know there was an issue with that. No longer loses its ability to buff traders when another landmark is destroyed. Okay, didn't know that was a thing. Corrected an issue where archers and crossbowmen would lose their fire arrows after upgrading to a new tier. Didn't know that was a thing either. Corrected an issue where archers and crossbowmen could attack with melee weapons after upgrading incendiary arrows. Again, didn't know that was a thing. Good changes. Clockwork Rams is my personal favorite update. Yeah, that'll be I am glad they made that change. I think Rams are going to be a lot more utilized now. The Ottoman Grand Galley adjusted help text. Okay. The meter now correctly activates and applies their buff after being ungarrisoned. And then the sound effect for visor points can now be lowered in the sound effects. All right, cool. Now for the last one, Rus, my favorite civilization in the game. The Kremlin landmark. The Kremlin may now levy militia to the landmark in the town center. The ability costs 100 food and can be activated every 3 minutes. Militia are a fast and lightly armored unit that has a 90-second lifetime. With this version of the Kremlin, players are now able to defend multiple parts of their base from raids beyond the direct radius of the Kremlin. So, on first glance, you might think this is horrible. And honestly, I don't think it's necessarily that amazing, but there is potential for this. So think about this. If you go for a second TC now as Rus and your opponent opens up early horsemen, you can't really move out. You can't take a greedy town center because horsemen will deny it, or spears. Now you could actually, depending how strong these militia are, you could activate this ability the moment you hit feudal age and kill the boar. You could kill the boar and secure a second town center placement. You could use it to, I don't know how long. I know they last 90 seconds, so maybe you can go across the map and be annoying with them potentially. There is potential with this. That being said, I still think the Golden Bait is probably going to... Did I say bait or gate? I think the Golden Gate is a better landmark still, though. In general, this landmark is useful early on, but this is just the later the game goes, the Kremlin just becomes useless. So, really, it's a meh change. I mean, it may have some potential, but overall, I don't think it's that great. Abbey of the Trinity landmark, Saints reach effect increased from +3 range to +5. The reach and improved blessing merged into one tech, renamed to Fervor, which improves the range of Saints blessing by +5 tiles and the damage granted by +1. New technology, Saints Veneration, provides +100 HP to warrior monks, costs 425 gold, available in Imperial Age. And then the High Trade House landmark, deer spawn cooldown decreased from 60 to 45 seconds. I mean, if you've watched Rus players lately, we all go the high trade house nowadays. It's just kind of better in my opinion, and I still think it's going to be better than going Abbey of Trinity, but the Abbey of Trinity is still obviously very viable. The high armory, technologies in the high armory have been updated. Fine-tuned guns, effect changed from plus 20% bombard attack speed to plus 20% bombard damage. It now adds 60 bonus damage versus infantry for bombards. Yeah, that's a high trade house buff. 60 to 45 seconds for deer spawning. Tech costs increase from 150 wood and 350 gold to 200 wood and 500 gold. Siege crew training, effective instant pack unpack now also applies to bombards. And it still applies to mangonels and trebuchets. So still a really good upgrade to get. Wandering Town. Fun fact, by the way, I think I've only gotten this upgrade once because I'm bad. Wandering Town, effect decrease from 100% damage to 50% damage, now also grants 2 healing per second in combat to rams. The Spazkaya Tower Landmark, health increase from 8,000 to 10,000, fixed a bug where construction of this landmark granted the siege crew training upgrade for free. Had no idea that was a bug. Streltsy unit corrected an issue with the static deployment ability where it was possible for it to trigger for a brief movement despite moving. Blessing duration renamed to Divine Light. Roost Deep Sea Fishing, we've already gone over that, and then we've already gone over the wall changes. Does this make Roost more viable? I still think Roost is probably going to be the worst civ in the game, just from a quick glance at this. Maybe not, though. Maybe this Kremlin thing is a lot bigger of a deal than I'm giving it credit for. Just looking at these from what I've seen, I don't think Roost is going to be a top tier civ. Overall, I love these patch notes. I think they made a bunch of great changes. There's a couple changes I disagree with, which is no shock. I think for Roost, they just need to add the sheep producing bounty again, and that might fix Roost's problems. But overall, I think Roost is still going to be in kind of a bad spot. Otherwise, though, I think they're great changes. I don't really have too much to go about it because I kind of talked about it while I went. So I think we're good to go. Yep. So now we can launch the game. Who's number 1 now, Blade? I think it's going to be Abbasid or English, probably. Maybe China will still be there. Not sure. Do you like the Abba change? I think Abba change might be too much. Are they still waiting on me, by the way? Okay, looks like they are. So I will launch my game then. I guess we'll do an FFA first, and then we'll probably do some ones after maybe. And maybe we don't do ones today because I'll be too lazy after this, and we'll do something else. All right, I am launching the game.